Hello and welcome to episode 19 of our Timberborn Update 7 Folktails Hard Mode playthrough here in Cycle 28 to Day 4. 1.3 days left until we have another drought. Last time, like the time before and like the time before that, we did a whole lot of work on our stacked farm here, and it's looking pretty good. We have a couple more things to finish off with this top level and a few improvements made to our farm setup, but we'll get to all that in due time. There's lots I want to do today. Tons and tons and tons of stuff, and boy do we need to get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this on triple speed. We do have our 1.2 days now, trying to get this to fill up as much as we can, but you know, it's not going to be a super fast process. It never is. So we're going to have to deal with what we got, but we do have a pretty good amount of water stored up already. We've got about 6,500. And we have some extra capacity in this guy to get this up a little over 7,000 if they're pumping fast enough, which I don't know that that's going to be the case. But, like I said, lots of stuff to get to today, and I'm not entirely sure what all we're going to be able to accomplish, but I really, really want to try one thing. And I responded to a couple comments about this. Someone, or I guess technically a few someones, have proposed an idea to test what happens if a zip line goes underwater. And I think, because it's a, you know, basically an extension of the pass, it's going to grant the wet fur bonus, and by proxy would also infect the beavers with bad water sickness if it went through bad water. So I do want to try to do that some point today, just to test that out, see what kind of cool stuff we could do with that. But outside of that, we do have some improvements, like I said, to make to the farm. And we need to solve our injury problem, because, like, look at this. We got 20 incapacitated beavers. It's gone on long enough. The mine is a major contributor to beaver misery, and I think probably the only way to really solve that is going to be to put bots in it. And, of course, we, you know, don't have bots yet, and it's going to take a little bit of time for us to actually, you know, make that happen. And there's a lot of legwork we got to put in to do that. But a couple of you who have suggested that we do stuff with the bots have also made the point that it's not necessary for us to do it super fast, super hardcore right at first. So we could probably actually get by with, for a brief period of time, maybe a single assembler and a couple of factories. Might as well just build 3 of them just so we can keep making everything. But that is not something we can just jump into immediately. It's going to take some time, so we can keep that in the back of our mind as we're working on everything else here. We do have 17 days in this drought to think about it. So let's take a look at our situation here with our farm. And they're not able to harvest everything, which is something that I mentioned last episode. And yes, all of you wheat fans, we are going to plant the rest of the wheat. That's just something that we were kind of holding off on a little bit. But that should get us about where we can go. I don't know if they can plant all the way out here. I don't think so. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's going to reach. But I asked you guys your opinions on farmhouse placement, and while there were a pretty good number of you who really like the idea of the farms being in the corners, most of the people who responded said that we should probably keep them next to the ladders. So in the interest of, you know, actually accomplishing stuff, I think it's probably going to make the most sense to just put them next to the ladders. And honestly, I don't know why these are popped in this second level here, but it's not really going to matter that much. 4 of these farmhouses should be able to take care of... Let's see, here we go again. I should have just left it peeled back. This should be able to take care of all of this stuff. Maybe get it a little bit more leveled out. Things are going to look a whole lot nicer. And we'll see what happens. We got plenty of opportunities to mess with this. So I guess now's probably a good time to note, if you haven't watched yesterday's video in the Apocalypse Mode series, this is on the new computer, and we are getting a lovely 184 FPS with spikes down to the high 90s. So that's a big improvement over what we had before. I love to see that. And I am very excited for the tremendous progress we're going to be able to make with the help of all of our new stuff. So I really appreciate your patience as we worked through all of that. And it certainly has taken a very long time, but I think we can be very, very happy with what we're looking at here. I'm going to go ahead and pause this forester As at least one of you noted, we don't need this tree farm here. This is kind of prime real estate. And we also have this enormous tree farm here that is not even close to being depleted. So I think over time, if we can gradually cut all of these trees down, this is going to be space that we could either turn into a nice housing complex, we could expand the reservoir possibly, or any manner of other things to improve our playthrough. So, again, not going to do any sweeping changes right now to this. We'll have to see just how long it's going to take to get everything cleared out here. But main thing that we need to do to make sure that all of our beavers can do everything that they want to do is to take care of our injury problem at the mine. And since this is a drought, this is also a good time to address our power delivery here, which is we don't have any bad water coming through here. We can't turn the wheels. So we're fully reliant on the windmills, which do not have power when there's wind's not blowing it. Oh, somebody left a comment last episode. I don't remember who it is. I'm sorry, but it's like every time you talk about the windmills, they just decide it's time to work. Well, they heard me talking trash, and now they're putting in the work. But we do need to get some power storage in here. So I do think we're going to have to go ahead and implement the gravity battery ideas that I did talk about a couple of episodes ago. Especially now that this is, not full of nasty water. We can actually send beavers up here. Might be a little bit of a process to get this to fully work, but I think we can do it. So the thing that I think is going to make the most sense is just to kind of line this whole thing here and put a little walkway behind it, because remember, we are going to want to eventually completely fill the castle walls back in. That was something that we decided we're going to do a long time ago. So I think easiest way to accomplish that is going to be to send some beavers up the backside here with the help of our ladders. Just make this a nice and simple thing right here. Just get these guys back in the back here through any means necessary. And since we're starting kind of on this side, I think it's going to make the most sense to bring the power up this way. So what we can do, we have access to a lot of dirt we're not using. We can actually kind of frame this in and just bring this up, I suppose, probably right about like this would make sense. And then, of course, we can blast this down if we feel like it. I don't think it's really going to be that big of a deal. The power interruption through non-windy periods, only in droughts, is really the reason why we have to have the gravity batteries. So I think we're probably going to be okay with whatever height this affords us here. But, of course, that is going to require that we put in a couple of gravity batteries just right here. We'll start with 4 like that. Is it a little ugly? Yeah, but it's fine. We're going to be alright. All we have to do is get power up over the top of this, and that's going to be a pretty simple thing for us to take care of. Just put... did I do a stupid? I did a stupid, folks. That's never happened before in the history of time. So let's rethink our let's rethink our strategy here. I just have to move this over 1 block. And actually, because we have the back sides of these things, it doesn't even have to be super complicated. But seeing how this is set up, I feel like it probably would be a smart choice for us to take advantage, where we can, of what this is going to allow us to do. I wish the downward power shaft on this would have more than 1 connection, but there's probably a mod that will do that, so I shouldn't be too upset about it. I think, even though it might just be kind of a dumb thing, I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna do one of these. I don't think it needs to be that big of a deal. We'll just get everything hooked up. Super simple. And then just bring it across. If it looks a little ugly, then you know what? Honestly, I think that's probably fine. Things don't have to be perfect. They absolutely don't have to be perfect. But I bet you I'm going to have this taken care of here before I do too much else. I love thinking out loud. Oh, it's such an efficient use of time. But I digress. Let's get... I guess... I guess it just makes sense to have this go all the way up. You know the builders have just so much stuff they got to take care of. It's going to take time. It always does. So, all that being said, let's make sure. Yeah, see, it's the metal blocks that are really kind of cramping our style here. But, you know, there is kind of a compelling reason why we don't have any, and that's because we've been putting in all of these things, which thankfully most of them are in place at this point. I think we're probably about to the spot where we're not going to have too much more metal coming in to take care of this. I do see space for 15 of those there, but the rest of these, as far as I can tell, should be good to go. So I think we can just leave that as it is, let them continue, and then just hope that the beavers can get all this stuff taken care of. It's going to be one of those things we have to just, you know, go back and forth and see what we can see. Fortunately, it is a short drought, so we aren't going to have a chance to get too much of this drained out. But what we do have, folks, is we have an opportunity to, even if it's just kind of temporary, we do have an opportunity to put in some additional water right here, because there's really no reason not to pump this on a quote-unquote short drought of only 18 days or whatever it was. I actually kind of forgot, but yeah, just get as much of this full as much as possible, and then we don't have to worry about it later on. Food-wise, carrots are still lagging behind a little bit, and I think probably a lot of that is just because we can't harvest, because, like, look at all this. We get these extra farmhouses in, and then I think that's going to really help things out. Bread is looking pretty good at about 1,700. We've got the cattail crackers. That's not an issue at all. Chestnuts holding strong. Grilled spatterdock holding strong. It's this maple pastry business. Maple pastries, and then, of course, sunflower seeds definitely need help, and I think we're going to have another level with some sunflower seeds. But honestly, I think for where we are right now, everything is looking pretty good with the exception of wheat. I will give you guys that, which is why we went ahead and planted a whole bunch more of this stuff. And then I guess probably the top level is going to need to be, if we don't get a satisfactory quantity of additional maple pastries, we're probably going to have the top level, or I say top level, the next level up from this, be half wheat and half sunflower seeds. But, you know, things can change. We can modify. If it's not sufficient, then that's going to end up being totally fine. Other things, since we are right here, I know we need to keep increasing the height of this, but there's so many other construction projects that end up just being incredibly, incredibly important at the most inconvenient of times that it just kind of keeps falling by the wayside. But you will note that there is still plenty of water here. This is all connected, because I blasted some channels last episode. We were working on this. And the level inside is a cool 0.77. I have it set to 0.8. Actually, no, 0.75. So I was wrong. I modified, and I forgot. This one is set to... This one's set to 0.8. Okay, well that needs to probably be set to 0.75. Just for consistency's sake. And I also don't need to leave this in here, but there's too much water for me to remove this and put the land back in. Everything else is going through here, which is set to 0.55. And then we go down all the way, and this guy is set to wait, why is that one set to 0.8? That needs to be set to 0.75. Unless I did a stupid. I probably just completely messed up this whole thing, and I guarantee you there's at least one person just absolutely screaming at their computer, no, don't do that, you messed it up. Planet of the Apes style. But we're just gonna have to move on past that, because we got so much stuff to do, man. So much stuff to do. So, like I said, I want to do the zipline experiment. We don't have the resources to carry that out at this exact moment in the way that I wanted to. So, I think, semi-regrettably, we are going to have to do a time-lapse here. I don't really know what I want to show during this, because I don't think they're going to have any amount of quickness in getting this accomplished. So, I think we might have to just kind of focus on what's getting built here. And I will go ahead and kind of prioritize all this so that can at least get built. and we'll see how the rest of this ends up working out. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to enter that time lapse, and we'll see what we can get accomplished in a little bit. Most of you guys liked the, I guess, alternative timeline. Sheesh, that's a Michael Crichton novel. Time lapse. There we go. My brain has lapsed, folks. But the time is going to lapse as well. And shoot, that was terrible. We're going to get this taken care of. And I'm going to try to do fewer super long time lapses and maybe a couple of shorter ones that work on a single project or a very small collection of nearby projects instead of things just, whamming all over the place. But let's go ahead and come on out of that and see what the beavers got up to. Okay, so we got 1 day left before this bad tide begins. Let's come out of triple speed, and we have 4 fully functioning gravity batteries hooked up to our power shafts here. Just in time for that to be completely irrelevant because we're about to be in a bad tide. But it was very important that we get this done. You'll note that I have the mine paused because now we have 425 metal blocks, and I wanted to get the beavers to actually, work jobs instead of just being injured all the time. And as of right now, we have 8 incapacitated beavers. I know the number was a lot higher than that, but had a couple comments on the episode last time that said we should put more of these medical beds by the mine. I mean, we already got 8. I feel like that's a whole lot. And we also have plenty over here just kind of hidden away. So I don't think we really need any more. And also, since this continuously comes up, the herbalist does nothing to heal injured beavers. It's strictly for contaminated beavers. So if we're all on the same page with that, then that is a good thing. We do, fortunately, have this completely taken care of with the new farmhouses, and I am happy to report that all of the stuff is being harvested now. So in a little bit, maybe after the next half a cycle or so, we should see these numbers about where their correct true place is. And then we can decide, based on that, what kind of expansion we want to be doing. But what I don't see here is I don't see a lot of maple pastries. So very clearly, since we have wheat flour, the problem is with the processing in our bakeries. We kind of already knew that, but I did want to try to give it the resources to succeed in terms of making as many as it can possibly make. But now that we are absolutely sure that's not something that's going to get any better without intervention here, we know we can change that. And this right now is probably going to be a good place to plant. Maybe not sunflower seeds, because we do have a pretty decent amount stored here, but definitely some more wheat, and we can think about other stuff as we continue moving right along. But you will see, going into the bad tide, we have 8,700 water, thanks to this being full. And we have a capacity in terms of space to put a couple more of these big tanks in. Somebody asked to build the underground tank. That unfortunately is not a thing that exists in the Folktails. That is an Ember Pelts thing with the underground storage tanks. We do have underground piles, but you can't put water in there, so this is the best we can do for right now. So this is nice and full, which is great. I know there's still a lot of work to do with the dam, and I do want to get to that at some point, but I do think the things that we are trying to do right now are maybe a little bit more important, so I do want to focus on that. You will recall that a while back we expanded this. We've got these dirt excavators that we can now remove, and we can continue the process of expanding our reservoir this way now that all of these are set, ready to go. But yeah, we're not going to need these probably ever, so that can get removed. And that brings us to the next topic of discussion, which is where are we going to put bot factories? And this is a very nice setup here in terms of power generation. We're currently making about 3,300. We're only demanding about 1,200 because most of these are paused. We're not really using too much. So, turning these back on is going to eat into that a little bit, but there's still going to be enough headroom to put in a couple of bot part factories and a bot assembler. So I do think I'm going to go ahead and unlock these. And for the sake of just kind of keeping everything roughly contained, I do think I'm going to put them kind of back here. So you take a look at what this is going to end up looking like. This is going to give us a little bit of space in front to put some more storage. And I think we can make this look pretty nice. We just have to have a little bit more going on in the way of our terrain. And, you know, we have 2,500 dirt. We're constantly digging it up. So we might as well just continue making this what I think it can be here with the help of some additional terrain. So we'll just get that popped in place. They'll start building, and then we'll continue doing all of this fun stuff here. We don't need to have another paper mill, but, well, that's not going to work because I do have the paths there. I am going to, ooh, you know, I really should do something about this, but for right now, I don't think we need to worry about it. Just continue making this go along this way. I don't think we need to worry about our edges anymore, so we can continue putting this in just the way it was. Eventually, you know, when we get to that point, just want to put this ahead of time so we don't run into any issues. But yeah, we need to make some more room here because I know we're going to have more stuff get put in place, and we are going to have room for printing presses. We do have the wood workshops all the way down here, which honestly is probably an okay place for those to be. So if we can keep this area roughly contained to just, you know, basic production of things that the bot art factories are going to use, which mostly planks and gears. There is some metal that is being produced and can be brought over here. And then, of course, we have to have the fuel. So that is something that we have a couple of options. If you're familiar with the Folktails, we can, of course, make it out of carrots and some water. We can make it out of potatoes, spatterdock, or maple syrup. And the maple syrup does require extract instead of water. But the time-tested strategy seems to be, in a lot of people's opinion, either the potatoes or the spatterdock. You take a look at the recipe here, and you might think, okay, well, potatoes are going to be a whole lot better because same amount of time, same amount of raw materials numerically, and you get 5 more fuel. But let's take a look at what it takes to grow a single potato versus a single spatterdock versus space and all these other concerns, plus what we have on hand. Now, a potato takes 6 days to grow 1 potato and 1 plot of land. The reason potatoes are great is because you put them in the grill and you get 4 grilled potatoes off of 1 raw potato. So to do the recipe of the 2 potatoes, 2 things of water in 3 hours to make 30 of biofuel, it takes 12 days worth of growth of 1 tile. I guess you could say 12 tile days worth of growth to make 1 recipe of the biofuel. Versus spatterdock, 12 days of 1 tile, so the same adjusted amount, bad tide by the way, 17 days, the same adjusted amount of time actually gets you 3 spatterdock, and then you come in here to the refinery, and then that actually gives you, you know, assuming you have other spatterdock in place, that actually gives you not only the 25, but half of another batch of fuel. So honestly, like, I like potatoes, but they're much better as a food versus spatterdock. And we already have a completely full storage of spatterdock here, just raw spatterdock. We probably should have some more, but I think for the purposes of what we're trying to do, it makes a lot more sense to use the spatterdock recipe, and that is what I am going to do here. So let's take a look at how this is set up. We got planks, we got logs. This is for metal. And I think, honestly, for right now, it's probably fine to just leave this as a large one and not an underground one. That should be okay. I'm going to, for the sake of our future bots, I'm going to put in tanks here because bots have to run on biofuel, and they also can take advantage of the catalyst. And then we're also going to need some water for the purposes of making a whole bunch of different things. But right here we have our storage for our gears and our paper. This doesn't have to stay here, because what I was thinking of doing, since this is set back here, we could actually come in and, you know, put in, since we're going to have 3 of these here, if you do something like this and you take this out of the way here, then you've actually got room to put 2, actually, hold on, this needs to be moved over one. Well, it doesn't need to, but it just makes more sense. You got space right here to put in some gears, and you got space right here to put in something else. Remember that we have, in the bot part factories, planks, gears, metal, and biofuel that have to be made into the different bot parts. So obviously, right off the bat, you need to have planks, you need to have gears, you need to have a lot of those. The rest of the stuff, honestly, it's okay if it's a little bit further away, but planks and gears, for sure. And we do have access to the large pile, and we do have access to the medium storage for the warehouse to put in the gears. So I think that's going to be the thing that's going to make the most sense. I know this is already here, and it might not make sense to you to just destroy stuff for the sake of destroying it and improving something else, but, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained, and there's no rule that says the dog can't play basketball, or whatever your sport of choice is. I know the Air Bud franchise had a variety of different athletic pursuits, but I think it's going to be worth trying to make this at least a little bit better looking. So I'm going to put in right here, just because the plank storage that's already over here is already over here. Why aren't you doing an underground pile? Very good question. We don't need to have that many plank storage. We already have a ton of plank storage. This is just for the purpose of making bot parts convenient. So that goes in there. That's going to be totally fine. Now we could put a large warehouse for our gear storage, but honestly, I'd rather not have a huge amount of gear storage just sitting there empty, eating up all of our other resources. Even though we have 4,100 logs, we're really not, for this playthrough, I don't think we're going to be going through that many of them. I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem. So I am going to just, you know, get rid of that there, and for the sake of just having access to stuff, we'll move it right here. Should be nice and simple. And then I'm going to put this guy here. And since this does transfer power, we know that's going to be a simple solution. Nice and easy. We can put something else back here if we so choose. And then we have to decide where we're going to put the bot assembler. Again, we could just pop it on top. Probably would be a super simple thing. I need to stop saying super simple. But let's think long term as we expand stuff. We have 3. Of course, the limb production always seems to lag behind a tiny bit, but generally speaking, bear with me, the people that watched all 25 of these series, I know it's the same every time, but we got to go over it for the sake of completeness. 3 bot part factories, 1 for each bot part, can, in theory, perfectly supply, more or less, 2 bot assemblers. I'm only going to build 1 right now because we don't need to have a whole lot of bots really quick, and we don't really have the manpower, beaver power, whatever, to staff those. So, even though I'm only going to build 1 of these, eventually we're going to have 2 for this set of 3, and then if we want to put in a second set of 3, we're going to have space for 2 more. So, if you remember from the Apocalypse Mode series, what I did there was I put 4 of these next to each other, then I put 2 more on top in the center, and then I put 1 here, I put 1 on top of this imaginary one that's not here, and then I put on top of the second stack of part factories, I put the bot assemblers. So, I do like that arrangement. I think it looks pretty good, and I feel like that's probably what's going to make the most sense here. So what I will do is I will put this assembler here, and what we'll do is we'll put ladders in the corner, just right like so, and then because we have these medium warehouses, and because we're going to have different parts that need to be accrued, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in just 2 levels of platforms here, make it nice and simple, nice and accessible. And then what I can go ahead and do here is I can put in a medium warehouse for the most troublesome component, which is, of course, going to be our limbs. And then we also have space up here to put either another one of these, or we can choose to do something else. Or, I don't know why I always pause to do this. We can come over the top of our large pile with the help of some overhangs, but it can't be at this ground level. It's going to have to be up here. So I think it's going to make the most sense for us to just do one of those numbers, and that's going to give us the necessary clearance underneath. And then what I can do is I can put in 2 more medium warehouses right here, and then we'll have everything we need. We got our gears, we got our planks, we got our bot limbs, which actually, to be perfectly honest, probably should be this guy. Not like it really matters. Chassis and heads. And then don't forget our metal is right around the corner. Not a super complicated thing in any stretch of the imagination. Although maybe a little bit more foresight, I probably could have had that set up better. But we will need to go ahead and make sure they can actually build this, first of all. So that's everything taken care of there, with the exception of the refinery and the fuel, which, of course, is still a thing that has to be taken care of. Let's set this to produce limbs first, because we know that's going to be an issue. Put this back on triple speed. I really should never have taken it off of triple speed, but you know how it goes. And we'll get these guys starting that process, and eventually we'll get bots out of it. I'll set that one to chassis, that one to heads. And we do have storage for all of this stuff, more or less, and they can take care of it just fine. That will kind of, just automate itself. Shouldn't be a big issue. We do have this paused, so we can also, if we're going to choose to have things make sense, pause these smelters. As long as we don't forget that we've done this, we can have these extra beavers, because we're going to have them working in these buildings, even though, this is already set to go. This bot assembler is going to take up 2 beavers, and guess what? It is also a high injury job. So we have tons of science. We have 21,000. So obviously the logical thing, if we're going to fully commit to making a bunch of bots, which I don't think right now makes sense, but we definitely want to start the process. We would need to automate that, botomate, whatever. People have different opinions on what that should be called, but you can't do that until you have bots. I do still think the first thing we should have the bots run is the mine. So to prepare for that, what we're going to have to do is make sure we have infrastructure in place for those bots. We do have this medium warehouse. A couple of people commented saying, hey, you still haven't set a storage. Remember, this is for punch cards. And that's what's going to make the most sense to put there. And now that this is here, this doesn't really have to be much of anything else. We can go ahead and put in a medium tank. I'm just going to put that right there. Make sure that is set to biofuel. I know we're not making any biofuel yet, but we will soon. We will soon. We just need to clean this up a little bit. It's pretty ugly, to be perfectly, brutally honest with you. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to take that out, because that really does not need to be anything but a ladder, which honestly I think we can probably get away with just connecting it somewhere else. But now I've got a big space here that I can also use either for fuel or a catalyst. And since we're gonna have a lot of bots here, I'm actually gonna mulligan myself here. A catalyst and that one, and then this can be biofuel. Is it ugly? Absolutely. Do I care? Absolutely not. So let's go ahead and move on from there. And let's actually start making biofuel. We have other spaces here. I know it's not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. But, wait, hold on. I didn't connect these. Let's fix that. There we go. There we go. The paper's got to go somewhere. We have to have a space to put fuel. We have to have somewhere for it to go. I can just repeat myself endlessly, I suppose. But I think it's going to make the most sense, since we have so many bots being produced here and they will eventually be working here. Just go ahead and put a large tank, have that set up to be biofuel as a... I guess it doesn't really matter. But we do have to get this continued out. Not that it really has to be dirt, but I do think it looks a little bit better when this is set up this way. That was a mistake to do that way. Let's take that out and just put this right like so. Give them plenty of stuff to do here. But yeah, this is not powered over here, which is why it makes sense for us to have this be refineries. We will need more than one. We will probably need about 3, I'm guessing. Would make sense. So if I make 2 right here, just start out making the fuel out of spatterdock. Be a nice, simple thing right here. And then we can put another one. We could even have these kind of connect in the back, or we could just say, you know what, we're not going to worry about it. we can have another one making catalyst at some point in time. Oh, I misspoke. I'm gonna get told about that. The maple syrup and the extract is for the catalyst, not the biofuel recipe. It is a recipe for something that goes in the bots, but it is not biofuel. So that'll keep him busy for a little bit of time, and I am very anxious to actually have bots being assembled. But remember, you have to have biofuel to have the bots. So we are getting a little bit ahead in the head department and the limb department, but the chassis unfortunately cannot be made until we have the fuel itself. But like I said, limbs are a great thing to have lots of, and I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. So what we're going to do here is another time lapse where we start building the rest of this refinery setup and start to get some bots going. And once we're finished with that, then we will have the final piece of our episode today, which is, of course, going to be our little science experiment with the zip lines. I know you guys have, some of you have probably already done it, you already know, but I want to find out in real time in the videos because I think it's more fun for everybody that way. But let's go ahead and come on out of this time lapse and see what our bot beavers are going to get up to first. Spoiler alert, it's the mine, I already told you, but it's more fun if we do it this way. Alright, folks. Hopefully, we'll have noticed that I put in a spatterdock storage for our refineries, so that no longer has to be an incredible ordeal. But we are in the process of making our very first bot. Should be finished today as of day 17 in cycle 29. But like I said, bot is going to get to work in the mines, and that will be the first place all of them go. And now, as promised, it is time for us to go ahead and start working on our fun thing. Wait, did I never reconnect these houses here? That's exactly what I did. All right, well that's fixed. Let's go ahead and unlock that for bots. Unpause, and I'm gonna say let's do 4. Just 4 bots for now. But now, friends, now there is science to be done. To borrow a phrase from Portal. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say this is gonna work, but I want to find out for myself. Let's see what the height on this is gonna look like. That is not gonna be deep enough. So if I go to a beam, can I go? Wait a second. I can just put this on the ground. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's absolutely gonna do it. That's absolutely gonna do it. Let's see if I've got a place I can just kind of pop this bad boy. We have a zipline station here. I don't think this is going to be in an acceptable range. Oh, that is. Okay, okay. This looks like it will fit here. Just for the sake of it being easy, because I know they can build that there. And then let's go ahead and put another zipline station. Say, well, it's got to be somewhere that's going to make it worth going through this. You know what? Let's say right here. Let's just put that there, and that's gonna get nope. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's wrong. Yeah, don't build that there. Don't build that there. We're gonna have to give it a little bit of help. All right, is that gonna be in range for this? One of these was. Oh, I've already spoiled the fun by trying to do this the quote-unquote correct way. If I put that there, then I think I can... Yeah, okay, this one spot right here is like the only place that's going to work. Oh boy, I love clodging together stuff like this. Alright, let's get that in there. Let's get that in there. Get this in... You dingus, you told me it was going to fit. Come on now. Come on now, let's... Ah, the line is obstructed. Man, what's a guy have to do around here to get this just actually connected? Son of a biscuit-eating bulldog. Alright. New idea. And you know what? I don't ever edit these, so my shame is public forever. Man, I want to send the beavers down into the nasty, or I guess this is the clean here. Man, why they gotta make this so hard? There's no reason for this. No reason for this. Surely this is going to work. Okay, that will fit there, and then And then we can go down this way. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, friends. All right, that will connect there. Can I get away with... but they're not going to be able to build this. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Why am I like this? So that will connect there. We already know that's a thing. All I've got to do is just to get one of these to work. Let's go here. Okay. And now I just have to have somewhere else for this to go. I know this is like an incredible waste. Incredible waste of like so many resources to do this. If I did say that, is that going to be the correct angle? Oh, it's okay. Alright, that works. Get that connected there. That connected there. And now this has to connect. Obviously, it can't reach there. It's almost. Almost. Let's go ahead for the sake of, you know, just having access to this. Let's go ahead and put this here. And then attach there. They will definitely use that. They'll definitely use that. So I guess we just have to wait for them to build it, and then we get to watch our beavers go and get wet. Can they actually reach all this? I guess they probably can. Well, while we are waiting for them to build the rest of this stuff, I guess we can go ahead and do our end of episode fun, and I'll just keep a watch on this this zipline construction. I really appreciate the support that you guys have made on all of these videos, but especially Beard Boosters, for directly contributing to the success of the channel and making it possible to do stuff like build an entire new computer, basically funded entirely from Beard Booster contributions, which is absolutely unreal. So, seriously, thank you for all the support. It's been tremendous, and I am very happy to report that this new system is working fantastically and is going to enable us to do so much fun stuff. But I digress. We're just about ready for this zipline to be complete. We got this zipline beam needing a couple more gears. This needs a couple more gears as well. Those do seem to be a little bit of short supply, so let's turn these gear workshops back on. I did have some of the lumber mills paused because we didn't want to go through all of the wood, but that was a long time ago, and then all of our bot parts ate up everything. But you know how it goes. The show must go on. We got so much stuff to get accomplished. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and get those guys finished right here, and then we will see if the beavers actually do get wet. All right, folks, I just saw a beaver going through this, so we got to wait for someone else to go through, and then we got to check on them because I totally missed it. I just saw this guy zipping through here. All right, who's going to be the next lucky beaver to make their way through all this? All right, here we go. No wet fur bonus. We descend into the water, instant wet fur bonus, but it slows them down too. That's interesting. All right, so note to self: this is incredibly terrible and should never be used as transportation, but it does give them a wet fur bonus. All right, all that being said, that's all the time we got for this one. God, this is an abomination. We got to take this out. But I really appreciate you once again. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again in the next... I can't believe this works. Oh, it's so funny. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.